Hi, and welcome to the second lesson in my series of lessons on the blues guitar of Chuck Berry. Again, a lot of people are familiar with Chuck Berry's rock and roll guitar, and I'm sure you can find lots of lessons here on YouTube with people teaching most of his songs, and I love that stuff. But here I want to take a part of Chuck Berry's playing that a lot of people don't talk about or mention or think about, which is the way he plays on blues songs. A lot of useful stuff you can find in his playing. First lesson, I just went through some of his licks, kind of a dictionary or encyclopedia of some of the individual licks that he uses in a lot of his solos and his fills. In this part of the lesson, I'm going to take you through some of his introductions. He has some really cool introductions. And through these introductions, we're going to see some turnarounds. We're going to see some different ways to use a few of the licks I already taught you, and some new stuff too. So let's start out with a tune called Worried Life Blues, which is one of my all-time favorite Chuck Berry songs. Maybe my favorite. I really love this tune. It's in the key of E flat, and he starts out with this introduction like this. And he goes into the tune. It's a shuffle. So that introduction, what he's doing, here's my first position E flat chord, and this is an E flat here with my first finger on the 6th fret, getting the 2nd, 3rd, 4th strings. If you're playing bar chords, you'd play it like this with my ring finger there and my first finger up on the 4th fret. So what he's doing, he starts on the 6th fret of the 4th string 4 times. Whoops. He's going to slide into an E flat double stop. First finger on the 9th fret of the 2nd string, 2nd finger on the 10th fret of the 3rd string. We've done this before. Whoops. He does it twice. Slides into it from a step below, and then takes it 2 steps down. Repeat it. Bar chord. So the whole thing. Then this turnaround, which is one of my favorites. Earlier on the same month, I did my turnaround lesson on this turnaround, a couple different styles. So what I'm doing is really following the long E flat chord. And instead of playing the country blues way, like where I'm picking the 4th string and the 1st string, this time I'm putting my first finger on the 6th fret of the 3rd string, and my pinky is going to start on the 9th fret of the 4th string. And he picks it, instead of picking it like this, kind of doubles up the picking. And I'm just walking my fingers, pinky at the 9th fret, ring finger at the 8th fret, 2nd finger at the 7th fret, all on the 4th string, to the 1. So like this. And then for the 5, he's just playing what would be, I don't know if it's just a power chord, like a 2-fingered power chord, or if he's got the 2nd finger to get a little bit of the chord sound in there. But he's just playing that chord, which is an A sharp. So the whole thing, one more time. Into the song. So that's cool. That's one of my favorite Chuck Berry introductions of any song. Worried Life Blues. He does a great job on the vocal too. Another example of a introduction is a song called Confessin' the Blues, and he does another kind of double stop introduction. He does this into the first part of the song. So it's, and this is your typical. So if I'm in B flat, that turnaround where you've got your first or second finger on the 10th fret of the 3rd string, and my ring finger is on the 1st string at the 10th fret too. And he kind of plays it like that. 3 times sliding from the 9th fret and picking the 3rd and then the 1st string. And he moves it down to the 8th fret. And then he gets the first, playing this double stop over the B fret. So the first finger is on the 6th fret of the 1st string, and then my 3rd finger or 2nd finger is on the 7th fret of the 3rd string. So like this. I'm not sure how he picks that. If he picks the whole chord, so that means he'd be getting the 2nd string at the 6th fret too. Sounds almost like he pinches it with the pick, and then maybe his second finger on his right hand pinching the 3rd and 1st strings. I don't know. Then he plays this F chord, F7. And then into the song he does a stop time. This is my confession, mama. Thrilled by all the charm. And into the tune. So that's kind of a neat introduction. One I always liked. Okay, next one, Things I Used to Do. This is another Chuck Berry blues tune with kind of a cool introduction. Let me play it for you one time and then we'll break it down. This one's kind of tough because I think there's 2 guitars going on here. And I'm not sure if you were the only guitar, there's a couple ways you could play it, but I'll go through it here in a minute. So it's an E. We did some parts of this tune in the previous lesson. That's the basic turnaround. He does this, which is just that double stop position in E, sliding from the 2nd fret to the 3rd fret with my 1st finger, and from the 3rd to the 4th with my 2nd finger. Now picking the 3rd string, then the 2nd string, then the 3rd string. 2, 3. Now I'm sliding from the 4th fret of the 3rd string to the 2nd fret, open, and then the 2nd fret of the 4th string. It sounds like in the record he's got this playing something like that. I can't hear it exactly, but there's another guitar that's doing this chord slide, which we're going to get into in the last lesson of this series. So if you're playing by yourself, you could do something like this. Keep that chord slide in there, or you could just play it the way I showed you before. So there's another example. Another cool one comes from a tune called Sad Day, Long Night, which is an instrumental. And here he uses a variation in Worried Life Blues. I showed you this. He uses that turnaround in a different position on the 1st and 2nd strings. Throws in a chord slide, which we're going to learn all about in the last lesson. So 1st finger is on the 3rd fret of the 1st string, pinky is on the 6th fret of the 2nd string. And he's picking 2nd string, 1st string, 2nd string. He puts his ring finger on the 5th fret, 2nd string. And he wraps up with a double stop on the 1st and 2nd strings at the 3rd fret. And then he does this little chord slide. And what I'm doing, it's kind of a variation of a 9th chord. Instead of playing the whole chord, Chuck Berry a lot of times would just play the 3rd and the 1st strings. So he slides on the 3rd string down to the 7th fret, and then picks the 7th fret of the 1st string, and then brings it back by picking the 1st string and sliding up. So the whole turnaround, and then he goes into the shuffle, which is the tune. So that's a nice little introduction. Which is over the 5. And then again, I'll break down those chord slides and I'll show you lots of different things you can do with those here in a little bit. Looking through my list, I've got one more, which is one of my all-time favorites. This is from Merry Christmas Baby. And actually, I'm going to save this one, and when we do the chord slides in the next lesson, then we'll take a look at this one. So that lesson, there's a few of the introductions for Chuck Berry's tunes. He has some other ones as well. Well, there's one, I think, Confessin' the Blues, where he just goes... Childhood Sweetheart, that's the tune, where he just starts out on that introduction. So the song's in E flat. So he starts... exact same finger position from Worried Life Blues, but now he's picking it the same way he did for the last one, picking the 4th string, 3rd string, 4th string. Instead of Worried Life Blues where he did this. Now he's going, whoops. And again, playing the A sharp. So there's some Chuck Berry introductions to some of his blues songs. The final part of this series, I'm going to do a lesson and just talk about some of his rhythm playing, chord playing, a few specific ideas, a lot of general stuff, and we'll wrap it up with that. If you have any questions or comments, let me know, and I'll be back with the third part of the series any moment.